Hi, how are y'all? I'm going to have to do a sound check because it's just part of what I got to do. This is the coolest thing living in Florida with all these unpredicted storms. They're so lovely. I've always loved the rain, but never got it in the shithole of West Texas, Odessa, and had a big old sucker come through. I just barely made my walk. Hello, Dannon. Thank you so much. Sounds great. Good deal. Hello, Logan Cochran. And Tori's here. And Michaela's here. Some of my OGs and Miss Sarah Jane. But yeah, as usual, there's another bit of rain coming. Can't help it. Actually, I like it, but it may thunder and lightning may strike and knock her out. But I obviously have no control of it. I kind of hope it just goes ahead and pulls the band-aid off and gets it over with just one time so I can see what happens. Do I reboot my computer? Do I continue the stream? I have no idea what'll happen, but I'm really not worried about it. Today's topic is boomers versus Gen X versus millennials. Before I get to that, today is we're nine days away from me being 23 months sober. I'm real excited about that. I've been in the gym about 7 months. I've just set a new record, lost some more body fat. I woke up this morning, weighed in at 182.6. And I'm just giddy as a little schoolgirl, losing all my body fat. Finally. Sobriety's been good to me. Getting my diet right has been good to me. Keeping my exercise has been good for me, and I love it. So 9 days from now, I'm going to be 23 months sober. You know what else is on 9 days from now? That's right. I will have had custody of Blaine for 5 years. 5 years. That boy's turned 19 years old. He's a grown man. He's bigger than me. And you know what has not happened in 5 years that I've had full custody of Blaine? My lawyer, Gavin Norris, still has not gotten with the program and updated my file with the Texas Attorney General's office. I'm not making this up. And I know I've talked about this several times on this very podcast since I've started with my new little setup here. And I'm sure it's getting kind of awkward because he can't fire me because he's already tried to fire me. Best of my knowledge, he is still my attorney. And I'm not answering the phone call, whoever you are. No caller ID. Who answers those anyways anymore? If it's a no caller ID, oh, I think I'll just answer this just in case. Yeah, it's bound to be really weird. Having a client that gets on a podcast and openly just kind of states facts. You know, some people might call it talking shit, but it's just stating the facts. I've had Blaine, and according to the AG's office, I still owe him tens and tens of, like, I don't know, 60, 70, $80,000. I don't know. It's a bunch. I lost track of. Don't even keep up anymore. And really just don't even care that much. So we're going to see how long this goes. Hello, Gayla Perkins. I was just talking to her on a chat, and I'm so glad you made it, Gayla. Thank you. And Anthony Stoner's back. I'll just put some of these up. Here in New Jersey, there's thunderstorms. Good. Here's a new one, Slayer Bob. Tyler Oil. I have no idea what Tyler Oil means, but okay. Dakota Smith. What is your address? And nice try. I've got enough stalkers as is. Hello, Sarah Jane. It's always good to see your smiling face. And Miss Sienna, I assume that was a thumbs up because you can still hear me. So good deal. Michaela says something about spammers. Well, fortunately, I know for a fact one of my moderators, what I call a whomping willow, is here, and that is Dannon. And if there are any spammers, then she's going to zap them because that's what I like them to do. Now, Dannon, just because she's the newest, if they are merely asking questions or even talking shit about just me, that's fine. Leave them. I mean, I invite them. If they're just like posting gobbledygook, you know, you can tell, just zap them. But yeah, if they're criticizing me Hell, if you got a way to highlight them, because that is another housekeeping thing I want to bring up before I get to the boomers versus millennials versus Gen Xers is my critics. I love my critics. I do, and I get accused of silencing them. And it's weird. I've got a couple of my OG critics, Back the Black and Blue and Drunk Spilling the Tea. They've been really quiet here lately. It's so weird. I actually get a platform and invite them to where they can come on here and show their faces because they're just so dead set that society would be so much better off if that rotten, crooked, lying scoundrel Caleb Leverett was just, if they could just expose him. But so far, only one brave soul has had the balls to actually get on here and face me face to face. He actually did it twice. Old backwards Brian, bless his heart. He got mopped twice. I mopped the floor with him twice, but he did. I will give him this, and I still give him this credit. He did actually have the balls to get on here and tell me exactly why he thought I was wrong and what he thought. And I don't know if he ever called me a lie. Oh, actually did. I take that back. On the second, that's the reason he got on. He told me I was a fucking liar. Those were his words. Said I lied about custody. Anyway, if you are new, and I know some of you are here, a bunch of you are, you can check that out. Those debates last Saturday and the Saturday before. All my podcasts are only for now on my channel. Eventually, I'm going to get to posting them on the various, I don't know, I don't even know. I don't listen to that many podcasts, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Just had a mild break part there. But anyway, yeah, if you see my critics on here, let them criticize, and then I'm going to invite them. I invite all critics. Send me an email. It's right down wherever that, right down there, right there. That's my email. If you tell me that you are a critic of mine, you don't like what I say, you want the world to think the world would be better off if I wasn't around giving advice on how to survive the crooked family courts or how to survive recovering from alcoholism, which I have done. I'm not recovering, I'm recovered. And you want to get on here and save the world, show your face, and I will send you the private link, and you can get on here just like Backward Brian did and tell the world all that you know about me, all the things that you read online about me, all the links that you may have. Uh, I will post your links. If you'll send me an email, I will post your links that prove all of whatever it is you've got on me. I'll post them in the description, and you basically get your own podcast and take me down. Sure. Anyways, let's get to the main attraction here. Let's talk some smack about the generations. I put a poll up, and I love polls. That's a neat function that YouTube's got in the community tab. I like it because I've got my opinions, but I genuinely want to know what other people think. I think opening up the conversation about real world problems is the only way we're actually going to find a solution to fixing this mess that we are all obviously in and have no choice but to live through. I was doing a little research on this, and apparently there's different definitions, and there's no, I don't guess, a true definition of what a millennial is or what a boomer is or what a Gen Xer is. They kind of overlap, but I found this article, and it's only written like just last month. And let me get over here. This comes from Investopedia. And I think I've made this big enough where everybody can see it, I think. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but it gives some little general birth dates and also where other people draw the line. Some people say Gen Xers stop, 1976. Some say that Gen Xers don't stop till like 1980 or 81. So, and then to just give some little nuggets. So I'm going to read through just a bit of this. This is by a woman named Julia Kagan and Investopedia. Generation X, also known as Gen X. What is Gen X? Gen X is sometimes shortened to Gen X, is the name given to the generation of Americans born between the mid 1960s and the early 1980s. The exact years that comprise Gen X vary. Some researchers, demographers, blah, 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 I'm not going to go into all their names, place exact birth years from about 1961 to 1981, where Gallup places the birth years between 65 and 79. But all agree that Gen X follows the baby boom generation and precedes Generation Y, also known as Millennials. Everybody's favorite generation to tease and make fun of and say that they're dumb, which I think is foolish. I think it's a really foolish thing to do because, well, I will get into it. Understanding Generation X. The name Gen X comes from a novel by Douglas Coupland, Generation X Tales for an Accelerated Culture, published in 1991. I didn't know that. Though it's more useful for marketing than sociology, generational theory, the assumption that people born within the same time frame can be considered a group with similar views, values, tastes, and habits. And the idea of a generation gap has gained broad acceptance in the U.S. Okay, here's this person's general what they say the dates are. If you wherever you were born, that's generally the category that people generalize you at. And yes, I'm fully aware that every one of us is an individual. You'll be hard pressed to find anyone who would values the individual over the collective more than me. Because when it comes right down to it, the smallest minority is the individual. The American generations covered in the theory are the greatest generation, and they are born about 1901 and 1924. Those were the people who generally were the foot soldiers, the E5s, the front lines in World War II. The silent generation, I didn't realize they were called the silent generation. I've never heard that term, but that's what they call it. Born between 1925. Oh, there comes the rain. I'm going to keep going though. 1925 and 1945. That was about the 20s. That was when my grandparents were born. And then the baby boomers were born between 1946 at the end of World War II to 1964. And after that, we get the hippies and the people like me, the Generation X, between 1965 and 1985. Some people, again, they'll say Gen X stock, Generation Xers birth date. Some will say it stopped as early as 1976. I was born in 1977. I've always considered myself a Gen Xer. And millennial generation goes from 1985 to 2000. Some people stop millennials at they go from like 80 to 92. And I read one article about, I thought, why would you even, that doesn't make any sense. At least get up to the turn of the century. That's where the name comes from. And then Gen Zs is mostly where all of my cheerings are born, except for Parker. He was born in 1999. So anyways, that gives us kind of a baseline. Okay, yeah, I'm just going to give some general facts about this, and that'll help me to read the comments and see where people are coming from whenever I get over to the poll. I have to do a little here, make sure everybody's good. So far, so good. Yes. Gen X numbers around 65 million people. Now, keep in mind, these are what they call, this is only for Americans. This poll and their statistics is only around people in the United States. I don't know why they chose it that way. Maybe it's just easier to take a poll sample that way. I'm not sure, but Gen Xers number around 65 million, while the baby boomers and millennials each have around 72 million members. That's interesting to me. Gen X is also sometimes referred to as the latchkey generation, as they're often left unsupervised at home after school until their parents came home from work. Okay, that's key generation. And being raised in the 80s, we just didn't. We were the last freedom type. We didn't know how good we had it. No cell phones. No one cared. There's no such thing. Lights. When it gets dark, you look at the street light. That's how you knew when to go home. Anyway, I'll get to some more of that in a bit. Like the silent generation, Gen X has been defined as an in-between generation. The group's earning power and savings were comprised first by the dot-com bust and second by the financial crisis of 2008, also known as the housing crisis and the Great Recession. In terms of social political power, Gen X is sandwiched, but they use that word quite a bit here, sandwiched between baby boomers who come of age during the Vietnam and Reagan eras and the millennials of the Obama era. Gen Xers versus boomers and millennials. The 20th annual Trans-America Retirement Survey of Workers, published in 2020, compares Gen X, baby boomers, and millennials. And here's what they found. Gen Xers believe that they will have a much harder time achieving financial security than their parents, about 80%, compared to millennials, 77%, and baby boomers, 73%. Across the three generations, Gen X is significantly more likely to be carrying credit card debt, 52%. I don't have any credit card debt, but I unjustly have a shitload of false child support debt. Millennials are more likely to have student loans debt, 26%, and boomers are more likely to be debt-free. Gee, I wonder why. Why are so many boomers debt-free? We shall get to that, and I will give my opinions on that as well. Gen X is least likely to use financial advisor, 37%, compared to millennials, 42%, and baby boomers, 45%. We're kind of rogue, I guess. Gen X financial situation. Over the next few decades, there will be a major transfer of wealth. Yes. Hence the reason I'm so into cryptocurrency, but they don't talk about it in here, but I just want to throw that in there. Collectively, around $48 trillion from baby boomers to younger generations, including their Gen X children, and they're going to need it. $48 trillion. That is a lot of money. I can't hardly wrap my head around that. Put it to you this way. I know the last time I checked, the U.S. federal government was in debt 35 trillion, like massive. And that's how much is collectively held with the baby boomers. Gen X accounts for just 29% of the nation's wealth, while baby boomers hold just over half, 51% of the wealth in this country is owned by a boomer or a bunch of boomers, according to the latest data from the Federal Reserve. In 2008, at a median age of 35, Gen Xers owned just 7.4% of the nation's wealth, less than half of what the baby boomers had when they were 35 years old. And here's a fun little fact for you, little factoid. Notable members of the generation, all of us broke people. Jeff Bezos, like the second or third richest man in the world, is a Gen X. The broke generation. Tiger Woods and the late Kurt Cobain. Or I don't even know why they put him in there, but that being said, I know good and well Elon Musk is only in his early 50s. He falls into a Gen Xer. Two of the richest men in the world are in my generation, and the boomers still collectively own way more. That is amazing. Retirement savings. Almost 60% of Gen Xers respond to the Trans-America survey strongly agree or somewhat agree that they are creating a sizable enough nest egg. Gen X has an average of $64,000 in retirement savings. I don't fall into that. I promise. Not after the family court gets done with you. They stick it in, break it off in your ass. Not surprisingly, baby boomers have almost 144,000 and millennials the least 23,000. 9% of Gen Xers have no retirement savings at all. I've got a little bit of crypto left. That's just what I managed to hide. So, this article goes on, and I'm not going to read all of it. I am going to let me get back over here to y'all. And I want to get to the poll. So I gotta stop there. Yeah. Share screen. Chrome tab. I always have to guess which one it is because I've got way too many. I've got way too many YouTube tabs open. Probably that one. Yep, that's it. All right, cool. Now I'm going to refresh it so we can get the latest, greatest. Kitty is scratching again. Turd. All right, let's get to the poll. I'm going to have to learn how to silence that. It's always something that I have to turn all of these off individually. All right, I posted this poll 6 hours ago. I keep saying I'm going to post these polls the night before so I can get a better sample, but it is what it is. Sometimes I just don't necessarily know what I'm going to talk about the next day, and I just want to chill. Which generation do you think is overall mostly responsible for the world in which we live today? I'll be reading your comments from here in the live chat and discussing this in the podcast right here on this channel, 8 p.m. I hope to see you there. Dun, da, da, da. Guess what? Out of 561 votes, the boomers are said to have been responsible for what we have today, with a whopping 73% of the vote. Gen Xers get a whopping 12% of the blame, and millennials get a whopping 14% of the blame. And now we're going to go to the comments here. And I read through some of these, not all of them. There's a big, let's see, let's go sort by, let's just go newest first. And I'll go to the oldest and I'll read upwards. All right. The oldest one on here comes from Rose Hathaway 12. I think we are all equally responsible for what's going on in the world at the moment and also in general. And I say this as a Gen Z. I don't like blaming the ones before me. Instead, I try to fight for the changes I want to see. And somebody replied, you go ice. You have to, because the past generation enhanced the future generation. All right, Tori, who's a regular here. The younger generations have a lot of issues, but they had to get there somehow. These people have been making policies and are either corrupt or their policies are outdated, and we are in need of updated ideas. I believe the corrupt system is most likely to blame over a single one generation. Irie Jane replied to that. Go back to April 25th, 1945, the death of FDR, a Democratic socialist president who had been elected for his fourth term. FDR wanted to place the term limits on the House and the Senate and all of Congress. This scared the GOP, so they pushed through the 22nd Amendment in 1947. I'll have to brush up on that. I'm not exactly sure. But what Tori's saying here is these old people have been making policies that are either corrupt and their policies are outdated, and we're in need of new ideas. Yep, I happen to agree. Old people made all these rules. In my opinion, I think Tori's right. I think for whatever reason, a bunch of the old people that are in charge of the vast majority of everybody that's in charge, they created what they wanted. They created it how they wanted it. And for whatever reason, they love having their thumbs on every single little thing that anybody and everybody can do. Can't do this, have to do that. If you don't do this, this is what happens. You get this penalty or you get thrown in this jail for this long. And that's where I stand on that. I happen to agree. From Chris P., it all started with the greatest generation post World War II. See, that's what I thought. I thought uh, what they called the greatest generation was post World War II, but apparently the greatest generation was born, according to the author that I just read from, between 1900 and 1924, 25. So it all started the greatest generation post World War II. After the 50s, boomers were started this shit show, aka original hippies, and every generation has continued to make culture and society in the West worse by the fucking day. Strong men make good times make weak men make hard times make strong men. Repeat. That's actually true. It is true. And don't get me started on how feminism is playing a very significant role in the fall of Western civilization. But what do I know? I'm a high school dropout, 39-year-old millennial. He's barely. That's what they were in the article talking about, the sandwich or like the layers, the overlapping. 39, yeah, you might be a millennial, but not really. I'd say you're closer to, we're talking like that, you're probably closer to Gen Z. Zach Leonard, our country was founded by Illuminati Freemasons. We were doomed from the start. Maybe so. I've heard that a lot. I really don't know for sure. It's an interesting talk about or to think about. Homeschool mom of one. No doubt in my mind, it is the boomers 100%. They screwed Silent Jen, who started the civil rights movement and went to Vietnam and came home to protest some rights. Gen X, never mentioned anywhere and wasn't taught proper history. Xennial got screwed. I'm not sure. Xennial, I guess that's Gen X. No, or maybe that's abbreviation for millennial. Got screwed over by the boomers. No, it's Gen X. Screwed over by the boomers with 2 economic crashes, 2 wars, and 9/11. We have been at war for like 200 years out of 250 that it's been a country. I mean, we've been at war. U.S. has been occupied somewhere, and had some kind of war just constantly ever since as long as I can remember. Older Gen Y is about as confused as a person or generation can be. Younger Gen Y are entitled and want nothing but to go into student loan debt. So bored, they invented the cancel culture. Gen Zers, I'm hopeful with this generation because most of them are now being homeschooled and are figuring out that trade works. Trade work is the best way to go make a living and staying out of debt as much as possible. Hell yes, absolutely. Janis Joplin said in one of her last interviews before she died that the boomers would screw everything up. There are books written about the 6 generations before and after boomers on how they are a bunch of sociopaths and not to mention narcissists. Well, I'm not going to say all boomers are like that, but I'd say there's definitely a high concentration of those type people that happen to be in that generation. I mean, look at Congress. Yeah, you've got people like OAC or AOC, whatever. Yeah, AOC. Young. I'm trying to think of any other young ones. The guy from Illinois. Hell, I know him. I just had a brain fart. There's a few young ones, but for the most part, they're all old with ancient. There's just the ancient way they think that they have to push it on everybody else, constantly passing laws. But about for instance, and this is predates even boomers. 1913, the passage of the Federal Reserve Act that created the Federal Reserve. I mean, that's been going on. That was before the boomers. The income tax. Before that, there's no such thing as taxing your income. And this country prospered during, the industrial revolutions in the mid 1800s. But they've got to have their control. They want to know how much you make. And you got to send in just a little bit to them because, you're free and all. Sienna Price. I think we are all equal to blame. I've met a lot of boomers and a lot of Gen X people. They're very good people. They might have their beliefs, but a lot of them I know are very open minded. My grandmother, who is my mom's mom, does believe in spankings, but she also believes that it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, then try different methods. A lot of people I hang out with know the difference between spanking and abuse. I don't. From the 90s. So in ways, I have an old school way of thinking, and I'm stubborn, loudmouthed, and opinionated. But I also understand that they're just as opinionated as I am, and they have different beliefs than I do, which is fine, just as long as we can get along together and have your beliefs and opinions. Well, everybody that's ever watched me for any amount of time knows my opinion of spanking cheerings. It's a lazy way of disciplining your children. Very, very lazy. It's very ancient, biblical, old school, hardcore. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't question me. Just do it or I'll fucking hit you. To me, it's just a terrible, 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 terrible way of raising cheerings. Irie Jane, being the age I am and living over the last 58 years, I would say this is the silent generation and the boomers 75%, late boomers, early Xers 25%, and all those who make up the I and me part of those generations. I and me. I'm not sure what she means there. Michael Adams. I blame the liberals. Well, um, yeah, a lot of the new policies, yeah, but why do people become who they are? Like in this case, liberals. Personally, I think it goes back again to a certain class of people trying to constantly control the subordinate class of people. And that to me just creates rebellion, and people rebel in all kinds of different ways, like loads of different ways. Modern liberals, I mean, they are rebelling against the societal norms. I get that. I just think there's a hell of a lot better way to do it. It's kind of like protesting these morons that get out there and protest in the street, which is nothing wrong with protesting. But when you get out and block traffic and inconvenience innocent people have absolutely no clue why you're even there, not to mention part of whatever they're being oppressed for. I think it's a silly way to protest. And then, liberal policies are generally just horrible, awful. Well, I don't want to get too much into that, but at the same time, I totally understand why people rebel. I'm a rebel. I know I am. I got my ass beat. My dad beat the shit out of me, and always had a thumb on me and tell me what I had to do, and the societal norms of not just him, but just everyone in that town of Odessa. You were frowned upon if you didn't go to church. You're frowned upon if you did this or didn't do that, or and where I'm from, if you weren't a Republican, you're basically frowned upon. So I did all that, and then they took my fucking kids and they jailed me, and they took my bank accounts. They basically enslaved me, and so I rebelled. So I just rebelled in a different way. I didn't become a commie. I think that's what I was getting at. It's okay to rebel, but gee, many Christmas, don't become a commie. because I'm not a Republican doesn't mean I became a commie. Brett Rose. Hard for me to blame groups of people who, by and large, either weren't alive or able to vote before things started going downhill. Um, well, yeah, I mean, but I think the people born, what they say after Gen A, people born after, they're not even millennials. They're whatever the next generation. I've already forgot what they call them. But yeah, they're well, my kid's age, but voting is arguably. Some people say it doesn't do any good. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Um, I'm not sure on that. I'll have to think about it. Sarah Danielle, I think it's a toss up, but right now, whichever generation is the angriest is who thinks they own and run everything. Yeah, I can see that, especially in the streets. Okay, yeah. And who's mad at this and that? And those types don't seem to learn that they don't have control. They're just making themselves feel better by hurting and killing. Maybe all those types need bigger things taught to them, putting them in the hole in the slam or something. I don't know what's the solution to all that crap. I think people act out because they weren't taught anything to begin with. Personally, I think they probably had their asses beat by their parents. Um, I think this has something to do with all the school shootings that we've seen. The oldest one I remember is, I believe, is 1999, the year Parker was born, Columbine. Before that, there's no such thing as something like that. Kids getting fed up with just completely fed up. And that was 24 years ago. I think it's compounded. Um, I've rebelled, but I had my raising. I still say yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir. I've got my manners. I'm polite. I mean, I live in this park here, and all my neighbors are way older than me, and I get along great with them. But I'm polite, and I try to be pleasant and helpful. I just help my neighbor put some covers on her rainwater barrels this morning. She gives me bananas. It's anyways. I don't know where I was going with that. Maybe I just wanted to plug for my cool neighbors. Nike Air Flight 23. I don't think being born in a specific generation makes as big of an impact as people might like to believe. I feel like in 30 years, the next generation will feel the same way about millennials as a lot of millennials feel about boomers now. Possibly. You can find irresponsible and responsible people in every generation. Well, true. Yeah. And that's the reason I it was just a generalized question. I'm not blaming any individuals within, no matter where you're born. I mean, I totally get that not, like say there's a bunch of bad Gen Xers out there and, I'm a Gen Xer and, I've tried to be a good person. I've tried to be a good dad. I've tried my best, but, yeah, obviously I'm not blaming particular individuals necessarily, except politicians. Yeah, I can blame them. Nate Morgan, the fucking boomers. Tell us how you really feel, Nate. This is from Absolute Absurd. Fucking boomers are the reason racism and homophobia still is a goddamn thing in 2022. Don't get me wrong, all of us are blamed for something, but boomers take the most. I don't know. I don't know if I'd say that's where racism comes from, but I think my criticism of the boomers is they're old. They've got ancient ways of doing things because it worked back then. The technology, that's how it was, and it worked for them. And now they own everything. I don't know about racism and homophobia. I think that's taught in the home. I really do. I think hatred in general is taught in the home. Um, Spider of the Hood. Boomers? You guys let women into the workplace. You guys open the borders. I mean, Come on. I'm not quite following you there. Who are you guys? Well, he's got boomers with a question mark. Christine E. I'm Gen X, born 1977, as I was, Christine. And I've barely worked with or come into contact with anyone from that time era since college. Still looking. LOL. I say the millennials have the biggest influence. I I guess certainly had the biggest social media influence. Dominican Frankster. All of them. Each generation one ups each other. I also think that there is a misconception about human beings. We like to think as a species we are collective, but that's not true. As individuals, we can only care for about 100 people. That's interesting. It's very oddly specific. And everything outside of that is a concept at best. I recently saw a documentary about how baby boomers and Gen X felt growing up. So many parallels, it was scary. Hurt people hurt people. In my opinion, the true worst people have remained the same throughout history. Dynasties. Yep. Yeah, I think that's one reason old baby Bush, George P. Bush. I think that's probably why he made railroad commissioner, but I don't think he'll ever go any further than that just because people are sick of the Bush dynasty. People are, well, I don't go into that, but Ethan Bryan, millennials failed as parents, and now Gen X is a foul generation, and we're all equally doomed. Well, I might as well throw the boomers in there on top of that. That's kind of where I got the idea of the the thumbnail for this podcast is just bend over and pray to the giant meteor just come end it all. Gotta learn to laugh at it. Ghetto Press Productions. I'd say the generation that made up these names for generations. Okay. Not sure what that means. Michaela Schonk, it's the one in office. The one in office, what, Joe Biden? I don't think he's helping anything. He's not all there. It's almost kind of mean to pick on Joe Biden anymore because we're not supposed to make fun of the disabled, and I truly think he is. He's mentally like, he's cuckoo. He's gone. But not to get off on a tangent, but have y'all seen the stuff about his son Hunter Biden? OMG, 4chan has had a heyday. Apparently, they have hijacked Hunter Biden's backup iPhone, and they're releasing gigs and gigs and gigs of pictures and emails, and apparently Hunter had his own father saved in his own phone. I don't know if I should say, I'll just say it. Pedo Pete. That is creepy. He called his own stepmom the sitting first lady of the United States. Apparently he doesn't like her and called her a see you next Tuesday. Ooh, it's getting juicy out there. Anyways, well, I think let me get back over there. Yeah, for the most part, we can all blame the boomers, but it's okay, boomers, because we know it's not all people, all boomers. We know that. I know like I said, most of my neighbors are all boomers, and they're all really nice people. But it's a little tiny trailer park, and we're all on meager salaries, and or they're on the retirements, a lot of them. But it's okay, boomers, because the majority of y'all have got a shitload of money. And I personally think the boomers, particularly in Texas, the red boomers, The Republican boomers have created the welfare state that is known as the family court system. And they've been in charge for 40 freaking years. And I'm not saying that the solution is to simply get a Democrat office. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not by a long shot. But I am saying that I firmly believe that these old gray hairs, of which I have plenty of, obviously, these people have got loads and piles of cash compared to everybody else. And they've made the family courts the way they are. They've done it on purpose. Republicans in particular, Texas Republicans in particular, have been in charge, and they have made the family court the way it is because that's the way they wanted it. They like the control. They like to tell people like me when I can see my cheer-ins and how much I'm going to pay in child support. And if I dare question their authority, they have got the judges in place that they want that say justice is for you, Kayla Leverett. We back old backwards Brian, and we think the justice is for you to go to jail for 60 days. So that's my take on it. So anyway, how y'all doing? I'm going to get to some comments here. Miga Mayos, the reason boomers continue to be blamed more than millennials is that boomers had a successful society and burn it to the ground, just like the rest are dealing with what's left. Yep, pretty much. That's kind of how I see it. They wanted to keep their fucking thumbs on and control every fucking thing that everybody does. And I'm just one of those people. I don't like being told what to do. I don't. I never have. I don't like it. And I've got my own way of rebelling. Some people rebel in violent ways, which I don't recommend. Some people rebel by getting a shitload of tattoos. You know, the cool thing about tattoos is it doesn't affect anybody but them. They can get it. If they can pay for it, it's only on them. But some people don't like to look at tattoos. They think they're bad. They think they're evil spirits. It's just a way of expressing themselves. So I mean, it's the reason I've got all my tattoos. It's just the way I express myself. Loopy says boomers are to blame. BRN 2579. Boomers were mind controlled and just passed it down through the generations. Maybe. What, fluoride in the water? Or the invention of the original television, the old black and white? Brett Rose, who raised the millennials? Exactly. I guess technically I'm only raising one millennial, but obviously the answer to that is the Gen Xers. But okay, who raised the Gen Xers then? The boomers. Brett Rose again. When a society goes down the path of individualism, they collapse. Birth rates fall, crime is everywhere. People just stop caring about anything but their own happiness. Whoa, dude. What do you want? The collective to run everything? Like Big Brother all the way around? When society goes down the path of individualism, dude, the individual is the smallest minority in the world. The individual should, in my opinion, be praised. That's it. That's specifically what the Bill of Rights is for, to make sure that the collective government can't trample on us. Allegedly. Yay, more division and hatred for all. Okay. I'm not sure what you mean there. Tory, that's no name by mistake. I'm sure he's talking about something that I was saying earlier, but I just can't remember what it was. Anthony Stoner, Joe Biden definitely has dementia. Oh, yeah, or something. He's got something. He's not all there. I don't know if it's dementia. Very good. Well, could be. Again, I'm not a doctor, but he's not all there. The latest, he is reading the teleprompter about women voting or something, and you're not supposed to read what's in brackets. It said end of quote. He read end of quote. Damn, that dude is just gone. I found a shirt, defund my ex. Hell yeah. Brett, again, you can't fix politics. Politics is a reflection of the people. Society has to get fixed, then politics won't be so crazy. Yeah, maybe. I agree. You can't fix politics. It'll never go away. Chicken or the egg thing. Yeah, yeah, I see that. Yeah, I agree. Ryan, since everyone keeps asking how's Parker, I feel like being special and asking how's Caleb. I'm good. I'm ready for 9 days from now, Ryan. It'll be my 23-month. I guess that's technically an anniversary, month anniversary. Be 29 months sober then. So I'm doing good. Down to 183 pounds. I mean, look at this. Or no, 182 and a half. I'm just getting ripped, just like jacked. I'm loving it. I love showing it off too. And particularly I like doing that whenever people like to call me a beta. I got some alpha roided out dude like ripping me because I posted a video of myself, my a progression. Why do all beta males do that? Every single one of them, they think they just got to get out there and flex. And I'm like, dude, who the fuck are you? I'm posting this to inspire people that have been through the fucking family courts and had their assholes royally reamed and kicked. As Robin Williams would say, something he said something like divorce. Oh yes, when a man's wallet is removed through his balls or balls removed through via his wallet or something like that. I post those things because I was on the verge of death. I was in the bottom, I was in the trenches, and I pulled myself out of this. And I'm doing this to show other people who might be where I was, because there's a lot of them because of these policies of the boomers. And I'm a survivor. I have recovered. I call this the recovered podcast. I'm not recovering, because recovering is what I did for a week in bed, sweating the sheets through and my shirt through and having night sweats and night terrors. That was recovering. Now I'm recovered from alcohol. I have no temptation whatsoever. Big John, I hate being told what to do also. Yeah, a lot of people do. I just don't like it. I don't know why. I just don't. That's probably why I can't stay married, because when they start, you're going to do this and this and this and this, and somebody doesn't like what you said, somebody doesn't like what then they can all piss off because I'm going to keep saying it. Sienna Price, I don't like being told what to do either, but I'm here putting myself on a tight leash. I'm not allowed to do this. I'm not allowed to do that. It's not okay for me to do this. Yep, I don't like it, and I rebel. Brett says that's not what I mean. I see. I might have missed something. I'm not Brett. I might have totally missed something. You might have said that in response to something I was saying earlier, and I apologize for that. Comments are usually in response to what you were saying. Yeah, not going to work without going back in time. Yeah, it happens, and I'm bad about it, and I have to get better. I'll try to get better. Sentinel, I just hate that this is the reality we're in. Well, it's just life. I mean, what? I'm not sure what you mean. Which part? The financial meltdown we're having right now, or what? Lawrence R, are you a Trump or Biden guy? I am a me guy. I am a fan of the individual. I'm a fan of personal convictions and morals that are not given to me, unlike Rush Limbaugh, and are not on loan from God. I criticize Trump as much as I criticize Biden because they need it. I think that's one thing I have to admit. I do love living in this country, is because I think if you start encouraging politicians too much, for the most part, they get unhinged and they turn crooked. And the only reason we ever find out the dirt on these people is because of the critics. Like, I criticize Trump mostly for some of the comments he made about his own daughter, that if she wasn't his daughter, he'd date her. Like, oh my, oh, I've never gotten over that. That has always creeped me out. Another thing I've criticized Trump for was banning bump stocks. The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, and I think he trampled on it. And I think his supporters, they pretend like that didn't happen. I criticized Trump for passing or doing the what is it? Not just Space Force. God, that's so ridiculous. But Operation Warp Speed with the jabby jabs and pushing the jabs. I criticize him for that. I think it's a terrible idea. I think he folded. I know he's up against a lot of pressure. I watched it. I mean, there was a lot of pressure, but I criticize him for it because even after it was over, he still said, "Hey, don't forget, I'm the one that mailed out your checks. It had my name on it, Donald J. Trump. I mailed out all the checks." Well, Mr. Trumpy Trump, all those billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of checks are part of the financial crisis we're in now because we got not just inflation, but stagflation. But then you get old loony bin Biden in there, and you just start sending a bunch of free fucking money over to Ukraine to get it laundered. I mean, given to certain people over there. A very unpopular war, regardless. When it first came out, yeah, everybody changed. Just as they predicted. They're just, oh, I gotta get on social media, put up a Ukraine flag. I support war. I mean, since when do liberals openly support war? Well, it's not. We're not technically in a war, Caleb. Yeah, we're funny. It's a war by proxy. I don't care how you cut it. It's a war by proxy, and you and me, all the other tax cows here, we're all paying for it. He's a gross human being. See, that's a good example of what Brett was talking about. Well, I've talked about both Biden and Trump, and he said he's a gross human being. I don't know. I think they're both gross, but I think they're both disgusting. And they're just old and ancient. I mean, I'm not saying that just because you get a young person there that's going to save the day, because I looked up. Oh, get this. I looked up the requirements for being president of the United States, and there's not very many. You have to be born in this country and 35 years old and have lived in the country for the last 14 years, and that's about it. Did you know? Now, brace yourself. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka Big Teeth AOC, technically can run for president of the United States in 2024, and she will be within like just a few months of being 35 years old when she would take office the following February, or we have the November elections. She would if she won, she would take office in February of 2025. Her birthday, I believe, is in October sometime. She'd be like 3 months. It is actually possible, because I don't think Biden, I mean, he's so far gone. They're already abandoning him. There's people that are like how the hell? I can only assume Trump's going to run again in 2024. He's made that. He hadn't formally said it, but he's made it pretty obvious. And to Trump's credit, and as much as I criticize him, he is very entertaining. And I love how he makes people cringe. He's a master at it. I think he's hilarious. I find him humorous. He's not all, I don't hate him the way most of his critics hate him, like seething rage and foaming at the mouth. I don't, not at all. He's got some good points, some really good points. But anyway, I've watched some of his. He's been like stumping on the campaign trail, not for himself necessarily, but for other people for the elections this year, for governors and senators and Congress people or whatever. And he's all there. I mean, he's powerful. You can tell he's all there. He's cognitive. He's still an overweight guy, but he'll always be that way, I guess. He's still all there. And how how Biden could possibly compete with him in the debate, I just don't see it happening, because Biden's already gone. Fast forward 2 more years, add 2 more years of rot. There's no way he doesn't stand a chance. And so I think his base and they know that. So I'm going to make a prediction. I think they are going to pick AOC as their darling because they have fed up with the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and she's the poster child for everything they say is brilliant. And I almost would vote for her for the mere fact is I don't think this country is salvageable, to be quite honest with you. Hence the thumbnail. Come on, we praise you, oh giant meteor. Just come and end it. We might as well just get it over with so we can start over. And what better way than to get that loony bin AOC as president of the United States? I'm probably gonna take a lot of shit for that, but that's okay. I'm like total, complete, and voluntarist anarchist, not Republican, not Democrat. Brett, if you look at the demographics of Russia, this might have been their last chance to secure their borders with buffer states again. They don't have any young people, a very old population. I don't know a whole lot about them. I'm not a big fan, but then again, I'm just not a fan of the state in general. At the same time, I think people have grossly underestimated Putin. I mean, severely. That guy's winning. I mean, the ruble's coming up. They're if you look at some of the trade wars with the petrodollar, I think they're winning. And then with all this Biden stuff coming out, with Hunter being involved and all the illegal things that he's been doing, like really gross stuff, not just drugs, but underage girls, that sort of thing. I think there's a big money laundering going on. It's what it kind of looks to me like, and I think he's going to come out looking pretty sweet. Big John says Trump is off himself. I'm not sure what you mean. Okay. Brett, I don't see a single good leader in politics currently. Unfortunately, I don't either. That's why I was such a big Ron Paul fan back in the day. I think he's the greatest president we never had. It was amazing to go to his speeches. He'd have 20, 30,000 people there. I went to like 3 or 4, maybe 5 of them. They're always packed to the brim. But you never saw it on TV because they wouldn't cover him. He was a threat, if you ask me, to the establishment. Might be one, but I haven't seen them. I haven't either. Can you say, nope, dude, and Fergal Hefferman, if you keep that shit up, I will have you out of here. Ryan, I respect my teachers, but most of the thing they say slip over my head. I don't care about anything that they say. The biased books they tell and the biased detail about everything they teach. It's manipulation. It is. It is. I think, modern public school is just public indoctrination, dude. You find what you enjoy and what you like, and the internet is plumb full of people that'll teach you how to do it. It's really cool. It really is. It's amazing. The stuff you can find on YouTube, on anytime I ever have something like break on any car, doesn't matter what car I own or what I'm working, whose car I'm fixing it, I can find a very specific, detailed YouTube video about it and usually get it pretty close to getting fixed. There's the information out there is just amazing. In public indoctrination centers known as public schools, paid for by, theft, paid for by taxes, by tax dollars. It just gets the bureaucrats involved. And if I was you, I wouldn't sweat it. He wants to be Peter the Great, so I said so himself in his speech. Ooh, that'd be interesting. I assume you're talking about Biden. Tori says they're most likely taking or telling us our tax dollars are working, so we give them more to win more. From what I hear, Russia has it covered. Well, we know they do that. Big John, I mean, Trump's mind isn't all there. Maybe no. Maybe all I can go is by his speeches. Um, the ones that I watch on Rumble, I see him do his speeches, and he seems all there. I mean, yeah, he's already a loon. I mean, if his comments about his own daughter don't say it, then I don't. I think it's hopeless. No, you people just won't get it. You might be right. Hunter Williams, Katie Porter has some interesting ideas, but meh. We need a populist. I don't know who Katie Porter is. Um, I'll just have to look up that person when I go back and rewatch this. Just asked you to say hi to my dog. Okay, well, I just don't do that because usually when people get me to say things, it's a trick to get me demonetized, and so and maybe you are telling the truth. I don't know, but that's not what this show is. Brett Rose, nah, Trump's nuts and a corrupt criminal. I said so 10 years ago, LOL. And he may be. I've seen the documentaries about him, how he treated a bunch of his employees. It seemed kind of convincing. Other side is nuts too. Precious few normal people these days on TV. Yeah, that's why I don't. That's why I don't defend political parties. I think it's so embarrassing when I see even my friends, my personal friends, they defend political parties. It's just like, golly, you can defend individual things of individual people, things that they do, but to defend a political party, even the Libertarian Party is just riddled with political bullshit. I consider myself, more or less a libertarian, but, like I said, a voluntarist or an anarchist. And by the way, the word anarchist, don't let that scare you. It doesn't mean Molotov cocktails. It just simply means no rulers. That's all. It just simply believes I don't believe there should be a ruling class. And if you'd like to learn more about that, look up a guy on YouTube named Larkin Rose. I've talked to him. We used to be Facebook friends. We got kind of an argument, had some words thrown, but I was back in my drunk days. He can be a dick, but uh, he's a he's a he's a very intelligent person. He very much understands the philosophy and anarchism and self ownership, and he's got a lot of really good educational YouTube videos that I've watched for many years. Yeah, I'll look him up, Larkin Rose. And here's Brett Rose again. No, Putin wants the Peter the Great, ancient Russian war general who made Russia mostly what it is today. Okay, I'm not familiar with that. Dannon, he didn't know that. She's talking to somebody else. People keep trying. Oh yeah, people keep trying to trick him to say offensive things. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know. And hi to your dog, but that's not really my thing here. People do trick me to saying racist things or homophobic things, of which neither I am not. And I don't have any. I just don't. I'm not. I am completely intolerant of that. To put it very bluntly, I can tolerate a lot of things. I'm open minded about it, but that no. Hi, Sharon. She's talking to Ryan. I'm a teacher that exited the system 3 years ago because I was tired of the education system promoting biological essentialism. This postmodernistic construct is destroying our kids. I don't know what biological essentialism is. You sent me a link earlier, Sharon. That may be what it was. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. Ryan, there was a time where I enjoyed school, but since the 5th grade, I grew irritated in middle school and then came to hate it. I'm worn out. I'm glad I'm breaking out of their manipulation soon. That's fine, man. I mean, I loved elementary. It was fine, and I went to public school. Junior high, or what most people call middle school, we called it junior high. 7th, 8th, and 9th grade at Bonham Junior High there in Odessa, Texas. Oh my God, I hated it. High school wasn't as bad, but I didn't really. Yeah, it was like, it's okay. I had some good times, but junior high was just fucking awful. Glenn Maxwell, most Democrats have said worser things than Trump, but they get a free pass. Worse things than Trump. I'm a grammar Nazi. Oh yeah, that's why I don't really take. I don't take it. I equally make fun of all of them. Populism is very dangerous if not correctly, um, not done correctly. I'd have to have. I guess I'd have to have some context there to really know what you're talking about. Hunter Williams. Both parties don't care about the average voter. They just cater to their super PACs and lobbyists. Yeah, because the super PACs and lobbyists, that's where their money comes from. So yeah, duh. A true libertarian believes people should do what is needed, but they don't want to be told. They have lost the whole message these days. They just remember the second part. Mm, I guess I need more context on that too. I hate to sound like that, but Ryan's talking to Sharon. Let's be honest, there are half truths in every class, historically, history especially. We always see things from the victory side, but what about those who lost? Yes, that's why I'm not a big fan of religion, especially ancient religions, like thousands of years old religions, because I know I can see enough. I can tell you that the keepers of history are always the victors of war. And if some shit happened that the victors of war don't like, they will change it. I mean, even biblical scholars will tell you that there's certain books of the Holy Christian Bible that, for whatever reason, aren't even in there anymore. And yeah, I have to ask myself, why is that? And if they're missing it, whole entire chapters, whole entire verses and books, who's to say they hadn't changed something else and elaborated or eliminated? My dad was a high school math teacher. Okay, this is also from Brett. There's a bit different, Ryan. True, but different than what Sharon's talking about. Why are 25% of college kids LGBTQ now? Is it really that high? That seems awfully high to me. I slept, Tori. I slept through school and then got into my self learning mainly by going down rabbit holes. Hell yeah, rabbit holes are fun, man. That's how a lot of people find my channel, just going down rabbit holes. Glenn, why would Trump leave the life of luxury and then drag himself through the quicksand we call politics? Because the money, man. Former former president. It's for money. It's all for money. He's a billionaire, and then he became not a billionaire, from what I understood. Lost a lot, and it fluctuates, but because of money, lots and lots of money, lots and lots of power. He, like I said, I'm not completely crapping on Trump. I mean, he kicked the Bush dynasty ass. He kicked Hillary Clinton ass. I think it's awesome what he did. Like I said, I'm not hating on him per se. I'm just giving the specific things that I'm critical about him. That's again, I hear that argument, Glenn, from a lot of people who are just mostly party people. No matter what the party, who their candidate is, they just have to support them. That's why I don't do that. From Brett, libertarians now just say, "Don't tell us what to do," when they clearly aren't doing what they need to do. You have less of a leg to stand on, so to speak, if you aren't doing your duty on your own. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, a lot of libertarians, they're just so full of shit. I know a bunch of them. Have y'all seen this new TV show on HBO or HBO Max called The Anarchists? It's centered around an event down in Acapulco, or Mexico, called Anarchapulco. And I know a bunch of people in that documentary, but I haven't even seen it. But I know that's what Brett was saying here. They don't do what they need to do. They've got some ideas, but a lot of them are. And I'm not trashing. I'm not trying to trash anarchists in general. I mean, the hell, that's why I plugged for Larkin Rose. He and I have had some disagreements, and perhaps I was drunk back then and I was wrong. And if I ever meet him, maybe I'd like to talk to him about it. But he he doesn't fall as much for the crap that like the anarchist TV show down there. Sharon, I'm 55 now, and even my own kids in their 30s are so self opinionated and get their egos hurt when they're wrong. Well, why, Mama? Brett Rose, you can't talk to many educated younger people at all now, Sharon. I have a younger sister. Um, I can. They may not listen. I mean, that's kind of the reason I made this podcast. I can get on there and say whatever I want. Maybe they'll listen, maybe they won't. Some people like I had this kid on the other day. He wanted to debate the shutdowns, and actually, I went back to listen. I didn't agree to that. I would have. I was going to debate something else, but he did mention it, but I didn't. But anyway, like one thing I'm not going to listen to. Speaking of not listening, I'm not going to ever listen to another debate on why it's a good idea to force jabs on everyone and shut the economy down, the world economy down. I'm not interested. I won't listen. I won't because I think they're dead wrong. I think they did far more harm than they did good. So some things I just won't listen to. All parties should care about the people of good USA. Yeah, but they don't. They care about money. Everything revolves around money. Brett, yes, that LOL. We'll have our own roads because we don't want to pay taxes. LOL, like, okay, good luck with that. Well, the whole who would build the roads, that's like saying who would build the parking lots. Companies build their own parking lots all the time and their own buildings all the time. And who's to say they wouldn't build their own roads? It'd be the same people building it. Hello, Karen. I'm glad you finally made it. You're late. Just kidding, Ryan. I'm so sick and tired of people saying that you would be a failure if you drop out and forget things you had learned in high school. This is so relieving. No, dude, you gonna be a failure if you drop out of high school? No, not by a long shot. You set your own destiny. You find what you like to do, what you're good at. I've got kids that were good in school, and I've got kids that weren't so good in school, and your ability to memorize and regurgitate a bunch of crap paid for by people who are paid or by people who are paid by tax dollars and bureaucrats is no measure of your how smart you are and where you're going to go in life. You can do Google searches of successful people who dropped out of college or even dropped out of high school. There's loads of them, loads and loads and loads of them. Glenn Maxwell, most people who think politicians or presidents can change their life are either poor or stupid. The most good they can do is lower gas prices by 2 cents. Amen, brother. Yeah, I happen to agree with you. Dad's right. Boomers are the elites and run the world. I mean, it's fact. They own everything. See, and I get so mad and embarrassed myself. I get facts wrong. If I guess something and somebody corrects me, I get mad at myself because I feel like I wouldn't have known that from the start. Well, Sienna, don't be so hard on yourself. Sorry I'm late. It's okay. Big John, I love your podcast. Well, thanks, man. I'm going to stop and make a posable moment, a cheese moment where I can screenshot that. That selfish for myself. Dad's right. Rothschild family run the world. Do your research. Yep. No argument here. Karen, sounds interesting. I'm have to go back and rewatch this one. Yeah, you know me, Karen. I start off on one thing and always wind up getting into some rabbit holes. And now we're talking about Rothschilds. We'll probably get into the Illuminati soon, and it's fun. Mr. M just dropped in. Congrats on your video showing up on CGA show. That is for the new or people that are new. That is Coach Greg Adams. Thank you very much, Mr. M. Coach said he was going to have me on, or he'd like to have me on. I still haven't heard from him. And if he does, if y'all mention it to him, or if y'all know him, if he does still want to have me on, I'd love to go on. He's an interesting guy. Like I said, I don't think we're going to agree on everything, but that's okay because I don't agree with everyone on just about anything. Yeah, but I'd like to visit with him. He's an interesting guy. He's very opinionated. He's very well spoken. Brett, build a highway as a local community with any system at all organizing it. I'll stand over here and watch the meetings. Where's my popcorn? Okay, well, it's not really been tried. It's not been allowed to been tried to be tried. Sharon's is talking to Sienna. Life experience builds wisdom. Books highlight those who gain wisdom before you. Yeah, books are just like freaking okay. Books are awesome. Oh well, Brett, that's just one of those things that I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say. I know you've got it in your head, and there's a typo there, and maybe I just read it the wrong way. About to say fucking go for my GED. The fucking algebra EOC is impossible to pass. I'm not fucking good at math, no matter what how hard I try. But where I live, you have to pass or you don't graduate. Dude, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, uh, and I know there's be people that disagree with me. You don't want to tell you just get through it. Just do a little bit harder. Just memorize a little bit more. And maybe you do ultimately want to do it. And I certainly wouldn't take advice solely from some guy on the internet. Talk to other people, but it's just my opinion. There's absolutely nothing wrong with getting a GED or even not getting a GED. It just depends on what you want to do with your life. I'll tell you this. I graduated from Permian High School in 1995. I've had several different jobs, and I was self-employed for most of my career, but I have had several, filled out applications, had several jobs. Do you know how many people have asked me for a copy of my diploma, my high school diploma? Precisely zero. Parker and I have talked about that many times. We talked about it just about a month ago, and he's like, Dad, I remember you saying all that. That used to be a concern of mine. I used to be worried about it. I'm like, nobody gives a shit. If he just say, okay, I graduated. Not one person's ever asked me well, let me see your diploma. So Ryan, if that's not your thing, it just depends on what you want to do. If you want to go into a college that is specific, like I'm just going to guess. I have no idea what you like, but let's say you did want to be a veterinarian. Maybe you'd I don't know what the qualifications are to get into vet school, but I'm sure you can get into veterinarian school, with the GED, and then you do certain other things before you get there. But read books, man. Read literature. Read some of the greats. Learn, it never hurts to know proper grammar ever. And I can tell just by the way you type out here. You type out you're very well spoken. You type out better than a lot of grown ass adults my age. So you've obviously learned that. I think you're gonna be fine, man. I wouldn't sweat some of this stuff. When my kids would get worried about it, that's what I'd tell them. Oh, don't sweat it. Karen, I'm only 36 and my kids act like I'm a boomer. I know, right? I've had kids, just not, I could say kids, I don't know how old they are, younger people that I'd be chatting with or talking to online, like in posts or whatever. And they tell me, okay, boomer. Just having a not even a fierce debate, just a simple, debate, a disagreement on something, or, an idea of exchanging ideas back and forth. And they just say, all right, well, fine. That's how you want to do it. All right, go ahead, boomer. Okay, boomer. Like, what the and I know it means, okay, whatever, old person. I get it. But I've had people ask me with a straight face if I was in Vietnam. They quit recruiting for Vietnam like 2 years before my dad was born, which maybe that's an indicator of how out of touch maybe certain young generation are. I don't know. Glenn Maxwell replying to Sienna, you You should be hard on yourself. Nothing worth doing over comes easy in life. Well, yes, but you can't just beat yourself up. And that gets in. I'm just talking about, yeah, be hard on yourself. Be the person who pushes yourself. Yeah, but I'm talking about don't live with a bunch of regret on things that aren't your fault. Ryan, can you just do good in classes and graduate? No, this school system has to make shit so hard. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I mean. I hate to say it, but I think that's part of the reason we have all the schools getting shot up is they just endlessly frustrate kids. If you don't do this, you can't do that. If you don't do this, if you don't learn that, you can't do this. Like, you know, sports, for instance. Some kids are really good at sports and they can't participate because they can't learn a certain class. They might do good in other classes, but oh no, the powers that be, the structural people, the old gray hairs, old boomers out there say, well, since you're not very good, Ryan, at that this particular subject, that we know you love track, but fuck you in your career, and we're not going to let you run track because you didn't pass this certain class. It's all horseshit, man. I wouldn't and seriously try. I'd recommend don't just try not to sweat that kind of stuff. Find what you like, educate yourself because it's out there, it's on the internet. Be a good person, help the elderly, help the people who are less fortunate, like disabled or uh, people that are might be struggling. Like just for an instance, you see your old neighbor, they can't get around very well, and their yards, need some attention. You can go help them. Hell, they're boomers. They might have money to actually pay you. Just be a good person and learn what like I said, I will never go to a doctor who just like learned on the internet. I want to go to a doctor who actually went to medical school. Big fan of that. But like a mechanic, I'm a mechanic. I was a diesel engine mechanic for 25 years and I never had any or not very much formal training. I just learned it on my own and I became really, really good at it. Yeah, everyone keeps saying that almost no job asks for high school diplomas. So what's the point? There's not, unless you want to be something specific, like a medical doctor or uh, well, any kind of doctor for that matter. Something very specific type of engineer. That yes, you need to go to a formal school for that. But if that's not who you are, to becoming a medical doctor or some kind of engineer like designs airplanes, the stuff that people really really need to be sharp and know what they're doing on, that's not what you want to do. If you enjoy being a plumber or being a mechanic or being just an entrepreneur, maybe you want to make widgets, whatever those widgets may be, um, that you can do that without all that crap, or a lot of the times you can. Brett Rose, I can't think of a system that has worked out with any state at all. If I don't know of one, I'm thinking there's probably a reason why. What do you mean a system like capitalism versus communism, that kind of system? I'm wrong, and they might, and they're right. And usually, what I get is usually what I get. With them working at Walmart, LOL, it doesn't matter or shouldn't, but I work at an engineering firm, my profession, for more than 2 decades. Okay, well, you see, Brett's an engineer. He probably got an engineering degree uh, and had to do certain things in order to get in. But, that's what he chose to do. He wanted to be an engineer. He's probably good with numbers and design. And speaking of young people, I talked to these. Okay, that was a continuation. Ryan, thanks, Caleb. I get worried that I put those many commas and periods because I once got told I sound like a college professor, and sometimes I neglect putting them. I just hate improper grammar. See, you know who you are. You know what you like. You know what you don't like improper grammar. I don't either. I'm not the best there ever was, but I'm pretty good. I know the difference between there, and there. I generally know where commas are supposed to be. and periods and apostrophes and possessive. And I've never graduated college, but I generally know what grammar, but that's just because I like it. You can express yourself more accurately if you do know grammar, in my opinion. Oh, Tori, it's your lucky day. I'm now teaching myself medical rabbit hole scrolling. Wah, wah, wah. It's funny. Nope, he's a college dropout. Okay, but he's still got a degree. He's still got a job as an engineer. See, Ryan, that's what I'm talking about. I was wrong. He's a college dropout. I guess he went to college, maybe for whatever reason couldn't finish. Like I tried 3 times in my life to go to college and finish, and I never finished. I got like I don't know 70 or 80 hours. I made the dean's honor roll in 2005, and I've got the published book in the Library of Congress with the ISBN number and my picture and my cheerings and names in it and everything. I made the dean's honor roll with a 4.0 average. I just, for obvious reasons, or with being married and divorced and all that crap, I just never finished. But Brett here, he's got a degree, or I mean, he doesn't have a degree, and he's also has a job who's being paid as an engineer. He's obviously good at what he does, and they wanted him anyways, with or without his degree. So I wouldn't go to. I can tell you with this, I wouldn't go into college debt. I guarantee you that free money that they love dangling out there, there's no such thing as free money. There's always some kind of strings attached. Um, the head of the automation department doesn't have a degree. You don't need it unless you want to actually sign the drawings. Okay, well there you go. He would know. He's an engineer without the engineering degree. There's your man right there. That's who I'd find. Whatever, Ryan, whatever you looks fun to you, find somebody who's a generation ahead of you, a Gen Xer or maybe even a boomer even, that is doing something you think is just cool as shit, and just ask them, what do you think? Do I need a certain degree? What kind of background do I need? What kind of job can I get right out of high school or in high school that would, help me? Or what kind of online, what kind of documentary or anything? Just talk to older people that have done it. That's what I do. I've even smacked myself for struggling. I have no idea why would you, but don't do that to yourself, please. Big John, I work as a handyman until I got my YouTube channel up and running. I see lots of us have done things we didn't want to do. I actually sold used cars before. God, I hated it. I tried, I was my very first job was right out of high school, or I think might have still been a senior, as bagging groceries. I definitely hated that. I knew that's not what I wanted to do. Same with me. I have 90 to 100 hours straight days, mostly all through school. Just couldn't do the structured college thing. I didn't even mind the structure, Brett. I didn't even mind the structured college thing. I had 4 kids. Well, at the time, let's see. I think, well, no, London, she was pregnant or almost being born. But anyway, I had 3 or 4 kids, and my marriage was, obviously on the outs. And I couldn't. I was with full-time employment. I was actually a project manager, a project engineer at Warren Caterpillar there in Odessa, or Midland, Texas. And I didn't have a degree, but I had a full-time job there and going to school full-time and living in hell and starting my own field service mechanic business all at the same time. And I got done, got that semester done. I just decided I couldn't go back again. Dan, and I never finished college either. Sometimes I feel shame about it. Do you ever regret not finishing? Sometimes I don't regret, or not. I certainly don't have shame. Maybe regrets, like mild regrets. Like I think if I ever decided to not have kids, if I would have just gone to school, I think I'd have been a pretty goddamn good lawyer, because I like debating people on bullshit things that I know when they're wrong, and I like with backwards Brian, and I like wiping the floor with them. And who knows, maybe someday yours truly will get the opportunity to be independently wealthy once my fledgling little podcast here takes off. And maybe I will go back to college, but I don't ever feel shame about it. No, not at all. Find something you're interested in is the first step. Yep. See, he knows what he's talking about. No college degree first. No, no, no. Find what you want to do, then see if you need a degree. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. I'm by Ryan. I'm by no means the best. I hate when people text me messages like, "I like." That's an acronym for something more. Oh, he's mocking them more than I run into people who hasn't who has have numerous grammar issues, and it makes me a Gen Z human face. You kids are funny. I like it though. It's cool. Freddie, I remember subbing to you after seeing the 14-year-old Parker stand up for his rights. Haha, cool to see you now. Well, thanks, Freddie. How you been? There's a lot more change since the Parker movie. That was 9 years ago. Brett, I wish I had a piece of paper, but I don't regret it. Both at the same time, if that makes sense. Yeah, it does. It'd been cool to have the piece of paper, I guess. But Brett, I don't know if you're around. I had an interview. Actually, I had two interviews with a guy. He's a young guy. He's only like 30. I don't know, 5, 6, 7. Uh, uh, he's got his doctorates and two other degrees, and he's going back to law school right now to be his own representative. And Dr. Aaron Graham, and he was fascinating to talk to. Um, I've kind of thought about that since I had him on. I was married at the time while I was going. I was already a salaried job at 20. Sounds like took similar paths. I don't have kids though. Yeah, that makes it a lot more difficult. But if I don't, then how will I learn? Well, just self discipline. That doesn't mean you have to beat yourself up physically. And I'm divorced too. Stay that way, brother. It's fun. That's one thing me and old coach Greg Adams will probably have in common. Glenn Maxwell, Caleb, how's your wife doing? Do you still talk to her sometimes? I don't have a wife, dude. I've been divorced even from my second wife for 10 years now. I'm single as a Pringle. Michaela Shank, Caleb, can I be a moderator, please? Not right now. I don't really need any more. It's maybe someday if it gets bad. We had on Sunday for whatever reason. It was a really, 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 really busy day. I might could have used one, but Dannon's. I've known her a while, and I just don't need any more right now. Thanks, Ryan, for using proper English. I have that video on the watch list later. Oh, with the doc, yeah, he's a neat guy. Like he's he he said he took a was it LSAT to get into med school, and the audio kind of messed up, but I was like, oh, okay, well, just add that to the list. I was like, well, someday I'll just get done with law school, just swing over here and get medical school done real quick. I just think he's just a neat guy. Joe just stopped in and say, hey, Joe on man. Well, hello, Joe Barnett. Tori, I'm fine on paying some form of tax on things I choose, but to buy, but I want my whole paycheck to start the process with. Yeah, abolish the income tax. Taxation's theft, but a sales tax where everyone kind of at least has the chance of making it equal. But yeah, complete. I hope Gen Z or all the new millennials, Gen Z, whatever alphabet comes after that. I hope they all get the point of realizing this whole income tax RS bullshit just needs to just fucking lose its steam and it can just go to hell for all I care. Zeller McMiller, hello, Mr. Sir or Mr. Ma'am, Ms. Ma'am. I just remember you from your Boston. I'm a big fan of Boston. Brett, single for almost a decade. I tried to date like 2 times online. That was maybe 18 years ago. That was the last time I tried to date. That was horrible. Yes, online dating is just bleh. Karen, do you know where Dr. Grant is Graham was from? Yes, originally he was born in Wyoming, and he's gone to colleges on both coasts. I think he lives. He told me somewhere on the East Coast at the moment, but I'm pretty sure his hometown. The only reason he ever wound up in Odessa, he just happened to take a job there because of the pandemic. Uh, it was just a paycheck at the moment. I'm sure he regrets it. Michaela, do you have any advice for someone going into their first year of high school? Yeah, don't take it too seriously. Be kind of reserved. I don't know. Just be a friendly person. Try your best. Maybe school is your thing. Maybe it's not. Just like with anything else, just be open minded, but also question everything. Know when to pick your battles with disagreeing with teachers. You know, um, now just try to be a good person. The real Booker. Hello, the real Booker. Thanks, Brett. I love grammar. I might follow a career in that sort of degree. You guys definitely saved me from freaking out. Thanks, guys. For not making me afraid of my future. Well, you're welcome, young man. Sienna, I'm sure I will learn that some way. I'm sure you will. Tori, you shouldn't have to pay hundreds of dollars to find out if you're getting or paying in more money. Oh, I'm not quite following you there. Maybe I missed something. I'm friendly, but I still get bullied. Yeah, there's always going to be asshole bullies. Um, yeah, just try to make friends with people, make alliances, people you can depend on. Try to avoid the assholes. I tell you one thing: the more you educate yourself on just about everything, um, I've always had a little bit better dealings with the bully types. You can humiliate them and put them in their place. Try not to get in physical fights, but there is a place for it. If I have to pay $300 at the end of the year, I don't want to give a tax prep company 300, then give we talk about for income tax stuff, H&R block types, yeah. Brett, Ryan, I'm a bit of a weird one. Well, aren't you in the right place? Because I know I'm weird. I studied everything in college. I took on a bunch of English and writing classes in college as well, including literature. It's good stuff. You know what my favorite college courses were sociology. I was fascinated by sociology, study of us and why the human behavior. I was just fascinated with it. Do you know Antoine Dodson? I do not. Should I? Karen, excuse me. Just asking because I'm 36 and I went to high school with a guy named Aaron Grant. Coincidences? Oh, well, no, this was Aaron Graham. No, I mean I don't know anybody named Aaron Grant. Brett says, Ryan, I went to college to be a better educated human being. Like times of old, think Athens or Greece, when being college educated was a high status spot society. It's not that anymore. Yeah, kind of like I watch like old House. I love House. I talk about it quite a bit, but I just always thought it'd been fun to have gotten a doctorate and, live that fascinating life and just to see what it was like. Dan and Michaela, one thing to try to keep in mind is that when you're an adult, the things that used to hurt you don't matter much anymore. Very true. You may not have to worry about right now as much as you think. Very true. No, he was a meme. I don't know who it is. Hide your kids, hide your wife, dude. Ooh, maybe y'all. I don't know. Brett, hello, I took a bunch of sociology and psychology. Yeah, psychology is another one as well in college. Abnormal psychology too. It was fascinating. I might just for the hell of it, if I ever get the money to. Now that I've got the time, now that all my little shits are all grown, I can have a life of my own, do my own thing. I might just take some sociology and psychology classes just because I like it. All right, kiddies, it's an hour and 45 and my voice is going. I didn't mean to go this long and we got off way top. That seems to be where my podcast is going. I'll start off with a certain topic and we'll talk about it a bit and then I'll just enjoy talking to people. Shit, I guess I could have put the link in there and brought some of y'all on. We could have had an in-person talk. I just always forget. So, one last one from Ryan. I think the reason why I want a high school diploma so much is because I'm afraid of disappointing my parents more than I already do. So, uh, dude, I hadn't talked to my parents in almost 5 years. Um, you live your life for you because it's the only one you got, man. Um, I understand the need to want to impress your parents and or make be proud of you, and sometimes you just don't get it. I'm not sure my dad was ever proud of me for anything I've ever done. I occasionally might have said it on something, but I never got what I used to want from him, that approval of you've done a good job, son. You've done outstanding. I'm proud of you for who you are. And I'm not talking about for an individual thing, but overall as a human being, I never got that. And it was just a lot easier once I said, I don't even want it anymore. So I understand being afraid to disappoint your parents, but at the same time, I get this a lot from people. Well, that can't be true because my dad is a blank. That can't be true because my mom is a blank. Like if I ever criticize cops, well, that can't be true because my dad's a cop and he told me that's not true. Well, sometimes, I'm not talking about just cops in general, but sometimes our parents are just flat wrong. Just because they're our parents doesn't mean they're necessarily right. Like there's a reason I no longer talk to my dad because when the falling out we had with surrounding when I got custody of Blaine, you're just not going to convince me to give up my rights to my kids. You're not going to convince me that's a good fucking idea for me to just say whatever, just y'all raise yourself and I'll see y'all when they all turn 18. We'll get back together. And I wasn't interested in it. He's just flat fucking wrong. Always will be wrong about that. I'll never agree that was a good idea for me. And so I'm out. No scamming. Oh yeah, well, yeah, just that right there, Dan. Just out, just instant, crush them. Karen, please watch the Antoine Dotson video. It is so funny. Email it to me, or are we Facebook friends? I don't even know. I've got a bazillion of them. I don't even know most of them. Send it to me in a link or something. Not uh, or Antoine Dotson, or I can look it up, I guess. Hey, there's old Vindex World. If I'm not mistaken, you were in somewhere in Europe. Just because they are parents don't mean they're right. Amen. People needed to see that. Yep. Yep. Just because they're your parents doesn't mean they're necessarily right. Doesn't even mean they're necessarily wrong either, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily right. Being a parent, well, it's just that. It's a parent, and sometimes we're wrong. Like I was wrong whenever I was drinking all the time, but I was the dad. I was setting examples. My kids might have looked at, well, that's a good idea, or it's at least acceptable, somewhat acceptable behavior to drink. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. Oh my goodness. I really am going to have to go in a minute. If for no other reason, I got to pee. All right. Good night, Karen. See you tomorrow. Joshua Greco, hey Caleb, I'm 21. My fiance is 22, and we both still stuck living with our folks. We have been trying to get ahead financially and move out, but it has been very difficult to move forward. I bet you it has been. My recommendation is live under your means and do not borrow money. Just don't do it. And y'all are still young. I don't know if you have kids or not, but if you're not, if you're childless, if you don't have any children yet, I would not have them just yet. Hold off. And I know it's be taboo to say this because y'all are young and your fiance and you're in love, but you're still real young. Just keep in mind that about 50% of all marriages end in divorce. Obviously, I'm not saying that will happen to you, but I am saying there's a 50% chance it will happen to you. So stay out of debt. Don't make any kids if you don't already have them. If you do, I wouldn't make any more. And y'all, best of luck to you. You'll figure it out though. Netherlands, Europe, indeed. Just woke up 3:49 a.m. yawning. Got to go to work in a bit. Well, Vindex World. I always think it's so cool when Europeans log on there. I really am about to have to go because I'm losing my voice. I sub sometimes if you want to have open mic. I'll hopefully see it and join. I have a channel. I chase tornadoes and storms. Oh hell yeah! I have a mic set up. Perfect. Yeah, Brett. Thanks for subbing. And yeah, maybe we'll just. I'll do that tomorrow. Just remind me in the comment. I meant to do it today. I just forget. So I think that'd be fun. There's a new one, Ricardo. I feel bad for young generations. They grow up in a country that is less and less free. Yes, and that's why I always recommend people pressuring all politicians and do not get in bed with the parties. Because many times, just because they're your representative, just as we established with parents that are wrong, sometimes your party is wrong. Sometimes your guy is wrong. The guy you wanted to beat the other guy is wrong. I was nearly thrown in jail for providing alcohol to my son and three other 17-year-old friends. Y'all, I wouldn't do that, dude. If that's not a victimless crime, I don't know what is. Well, it is a victimless crime, but it's still, it's a responsibility thing. And I'm not saying 17 is like just way far, just like gross, but um, you know, responsibility, you wouldn't provide it for a 5-year-old. And that's why I moved out. I don't know how to do that, but I can send you a friend request on Facebook. Yeah, just send me one on Facebook. I assume that's your real name on Facebook too. I guess I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't. I like Facebook for old reasons. I don't know. I've got a love hate with Facebook. I rarely accept new friend requests, but you're here all the time. As long as I recognize your profile picture, yeah, hell yeah. The real Booker, I sub to you, Mr. Brett Rose. Cool. See, that's how networking works. Hell yeah. Brett Rose, you just got a sub from the real Booker. A bit of philosophy is badly needed these days. I can chat pretty much on any topic you want to discuss. Heck yeah, man. Sounds fun. Well, we'll do that first. We'll do that tomorrow. Like an open mic type deal. Okay, Booker, the real Booker. I wasn't trying to plug my channel with that. I just wanted to let him know about the YouTube channel. Plug it. That's okay. I don't mind, and won't get booted. Yeah. You're plug it all you want. I don't care. I mean, doesn't bother me at all. Right? I love to work hard. School just makes my life a lot more difficult. Grades don't really affect me. All right, kids. I'm going to let money test though. Money affects everything. I am out of here. I will see y'all tomorrow. My voice is almost gone. See y'all tomorrow at 8 p.m. I have no idea what the topic's going to be on, but check my community tab. I'll probably have something up. And don't hit your cheerins. Good night.